Ewa na ewa, londe madu, londe mi madu. Mama, mama, londe mada, londe mao, londe mada, londe ma, londe ye, londe mi, londe mi mo, abade gogo, londe ma, abade gogo, londe ma, abade gogo, ekuna ngaya gogo. Ewa, wana ewa, ewa, una mi welo momie, ekuna wega londe lima, ya londe manga bade gogo, anadu bona uga egina, anadu bona uga egina. Ewa, ana ewa, londe wano namuye. Londe wano namuye, londe wano ne wera boga ekina ye, ne wera boga ekina ye. Tono egana, longe ganyanga, ana egana lomo garenye. Dua lomo go, dua lomo go. Ana ele ngabemwe, ana ele ngabemwe. Ye kuna lomo miwa. Ena wega londe mima, ya londe manga wade ibobo, ya londe manga wade ibobo. Ana elo, ana elo, ana elo, ewala, ana ewa, ewala, ana ewa, londe wanu namuye, londe wanu namuye. Ana elo, elawo, yena we, tomo miwa, kunu namuwe, londe miwe, ya demanga bade ibobo. Ana kwetumo, ana kwetumo, ana kwetumo, ana kwetumo, ana kwetumo. Ana adobanye, ana adobanye, ana go adobanyo. Malobo na wasanyo, malobo na wasanyo. Sambela ngajua ba walongo, sambela ngajua ba walongo. Enganwa kwale kamongo kabalo nebubo. Ewa ana ewa londe wanu namuye, ana ewa londe wanu namuye, londe wanu namuye. Nuatanga, onganwa, taona duale ngabemwe, duale kuna moke, muderuko. Dabalie dilinjangela, diega, ngabebo agelo debo, dabapwe dialiba mongwalo, gayele liba teo, gayele liba wolomo, dalenjarela dugo mwebu. Nyamuwe damongu kwe, nyanga duba duga monu kwe, kedale yamalo wawo kubale ye. Kubale ye kwelaga ye tebo, kubale ye kwelaga ye tebo. Yamoyo, ya yamo babalo mema, malo ne kubale yenga, yamo baba vale yenga. Ya mwepepe vale yenga. Nwedanga adelu molebo. Datenga badinga ma yango dia. Dedia ke ya balungo we. Ya nuwa bo vale yenga. Ya nuwa bo vale yenga kwelaga yedeko. Ewa, ana ewa, londe wanu namuye. Londe wanu namuye, ana ewa, londe wanu namuye. Ana ewa, ana ewa, ana ewa, ana ewa, ana ewa. Analine, Baragalo Nebo, Analine, Baradalo Nebo, Anaelo, Malono, Nasamio, Malono, Nasamio, Monge by Casamio, Monge by Casamio, Monge by Casamio.
Okay, good evening. Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's stop this yet and get a program going. Good evening. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe this beautiful, beautiful Friday evening. Here at the Diaspora Informative News Outlet, as usual, to discuss news making headlines in our community, our country, and just right around on our own feed. This is what we do, and we really, really do enjoy your company. We say welcome. If you can, just hit the share icon and invite someone at your company and tell them Dr. Toto is here, Iman is here, Mohammed, good to have you. And of course, Fatu is in the house. Welcome to the show, my analyst. Same way, Moses is right back there. I see you. We're going to be bringing you in here very shortly. But let's do some little quick housekeeping here. And welcome to the show. This is the rhythm that introduces the program. LPR-TV Live with the analyst. Tape is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening, good morning, your location. Welcome to the show. Good evening, good evening. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. I am your host, and Lee Angot, right here on the Diaspora Informative News Outlet. Afonso Zienso broadcasting this beautiful evening here. Time check in the East Coast is 8:09 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for sharing your evening with us as usual. Your commitment to this network cannot be overemphasized. The dialogue, your tweets, your comments, your interactions, your agreement, disagreement with panel analysts, pundit, host. It's welcome. That's the beauty of national discourse. Be able to make a convincing argument of what you are saying. And that's why it's good we have this sort of round table conversations where all views can be put on the table and those that are applicable at the specific times, good for our country, for our community, for our society, we can pick up those puzzles. But what we cannot do is to say A the way you want us to say A. We are under an obligation to make sure that we speak the truth, and sometimes telling the truth, depending where it goes, who is the recipient, is being restructured because it doesn't go their way. That is okay, but we are on an obligation to provide, to have authentic conversations, holding leaders, our country, our community, ourselves as talking here, accountable for things that is ongoing in our country, strictly because for the good of the country. But we are also aware that politics has become the much greater part. So it seems to influence our independence and more or less loyalty to politicians and that of the country, which is troubling. But you have the right to do that. So here we see it as it should be, the right way. it might not meet your standard with respect to what you want us to say. But I will do it the best we can to have an authentic and genuine conversation. I am your host, Alfonso Zienso. Today is Friday. The voices of those independent mind will be restored here this evening by placing your call, by writing, by expressing your views, your opinion. I don't go down line to see why you're writing. Is it against me? Is it for me? No. In as much we call names of politicians, stakeholders, actors, policymakers, it must be reciprocal. They also will have to call our names. It's obvious. So that scheme is not two things together. But anyway, we have to have this sort of conversation. Too much is ongoing in Liberia, and we must be able to have these national conversations. Let's take this quick commercial break, and I will be right back.
Do you want to share your events with the world? Why not contact us? We are Liberia Public Radio, LPR. We are the specialists in advertisements, commercials, radio and TV services. We have the professionals that can help you sell your products and provide live coverage of all events, such as weddings, conventions, graduations, reunions, anniversaries, sports, birthdays, baby showers, religious activities, funerals, and many more. Take your phone right now and call any of the following numbers: 682-433-8802, 267-648-6089, 484-786-3337, or 916-533-2048. Our customer service representatives are waiting to take your calls and give you the needed assistance. It is LPR, the home of excellent media services, and your friends in business.
Okay, there's the network. I am the Francoisian, so that's the lover boy, Tamazola Gisi from Philly, the state of brother love and sisterly affections. And my man, Moses Sembretes here, is LPR senior security analyst of this network. But sometimes I find it very difficult because to try to fix the unfixable, they try to restructure the crime scene without them doing the actual forensic to be more scientific. And the thing we just want to go along with them. But that's okay. That's who they are. Politicians, they are there to always get a damage control. They tend to tweet, to restructure things and make up words to suit their base, and so that they are unable to come out to tell the people the truth and a good deep down grieving. I should have said this, I should have known this. But again, in our conversations, we will make them inclusive and allow them to speak them out. Let me go to Delaware, the hometown of now outgoing Joe Biden, the guy right after the debate, Moses and other, the kicking out, he could no longer to represent the Democratic Party because of his performance or thing factor in. So we got what we get. Let me bring in to Moses right here this evening. Okay. Mos, good evening. How are you today?
How you doing, Brother Soa?
Good. It looks like you are in a crime lab. Are you performing some laboratory testing to see what? I want to know what's going on with respect to the Capitol building. And there are some social issues I think we need to talk about. The media is diverse in the sense that we're able to discuss things across the aisle. There are other people who more or less find interest. I want to know what happens when presidential mandates are not carried out. The result, the consequences of that. I want to know the assets declarations, all of that. There's too much. Even the university, while things are moving on the slow pace, who is not acting? We see Ghana now, outgoing President Nana Akufo is declaring Ghana the freed Africans entry, visa entry. So now we get in Ghana, you go, why our people are not having this sort of visionary thought for the good of our country? Their thinking, their way of doing things is narrow. Where their shadow stops, that's where their vision stops. That's concerning to me, especially the social issue. People, every other day, someone's life is being taken away. Is it a normal thing? Are there no institutions in governments, agencies? The people need help, or is it the same Liberian way? Oh, the men are crazy men. Forgetting to know we went through a bloody civil war, and people deal with situations at a different pace, respond today. Where are these institutions? Where are these social services? And we as a citizen, because when you listen to some of these things, Moses, you will see eyewitnesses or bystanders, they will begin to give stories. Oh, he said it. Oh, she said it. There are always indicators to suggest something potential damage could be done. And this is why these people say when you see something unusual, report it. If you keep it and allow the train to derail, you should also be questioning. But good to have you here. Please put away your politics of today. Today, I try to be a little bit, there are things that are ongoing on. I just don't like it. But I know you and your liberals ally have the way of protecting and defending, which is okay. The good thing will always bring you here and bring you to light. Even though your guys that are supporting you doing these things and they enjoy it, it's you. It's normal. It's typical. But look, on a serious note, there are a few things outlined. I tend not to shove my talking point in your throat, but you can also bring it. But I just think there are some real serious issues ongoing. The generations. What happens to the fight against drugs? How far are we now? We're not hearing anything again. How many persons been to redeem has gone through treatment center? Is there even treatment center? All we see is chaos, politicians as usual enrich themselves, left the citizens vulnerable, and the country, it is why it is. And the blame game is ongoing. Well, somebody did this, somebody got a spoil thing, and somebody should be the one to fix it. I'm concerned, the leadership, in terms of what they are doing and how to make Liberia a good society. Good evening, good to have you.
Thank you, Brother Soa, and you. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks to the viewers out there. We appreciate your loyalty in listening to the show. We may not say things that are acceptable to everyone, moral values and what have you, but what we here is to share knowledge. So as we come on the show to say things or to share with you, we hope that you can share with us your own sentiment. And at that point in time, we will understand, what we're doing. And that's what the former president said. If someone said nonsense, take the N-O-N out of there and make sense out of it. So everything, there's sensible things to what has been said. However, Brother Sora, you threw a lot at me. First thing first.
It's not meant to confuse you. It's just too overwhelming because every time Moses, when we wake up, we don't see anything of substance go to the country.
In fact,
it's crazy.
Say that. I was just watching the video. I don't know if you've seen the video yet, but I can forward it to you. Whereas the fire, a taxi caught on fire at red light. And you know what they used to off the fire in the car?
Mm-hmm.
They had a tank of feces waters and they opened the tank and they were using that in the bucket in the open and throwing feces water. How can people think
in the 21st century?
How can these things be happening? Sometimes you gotta knock your head, come to your own head and say, am I saying something that makes sense? Or is this a primitive life? They were actually using a bucket and this thing was pouring on the street. Feces in the big tanker to put fire out in a major area like at the market. At the market. Who's thinking?
I should be asking you, not me. I'm supposed to ask you. You need to provide that answer to me. You guys are one of those we should be asking because you didn't give us enough time to ask all of those people that were seeking for these high profile jobs. And that's what happened. That's the danger. You're going to be making your point. And you
But
see, I'm not going to call.
you're the one I need to be asking because you're the media guru, you're the independent people. Why you didn't force these people to come out and do a debate, an open?
You're trying to
So that
what you're trying to do now is to flip the coins, and it can't work. That can't work with me. You guys protected your people. They were only going to places where they farm peanut butter and jelly to serve them oatmeal, good breakfast, eat. And
really
unleashing false who innuendo subliminal messages. They were just throwing it out. And that's why they are crying now. Oh, the another thing we thought that is, of course, that's why you talk, because you did not give the Liberian the opportunity. And all you were doing, you were the talking heads for these people.
But Brother So, you guys are in the media. You guys should have forced these people to the table. Ground, and collectively, you guys could have done that. If you guys had gotten together and say, listen, it's unfair to our people that we have people running and they haven't given the people the chance to vet you all appropriately so that you guys can stand a better chance. And we want to see how the debate's going to go so that people can make, conscious decisions on who their candidates are. Instead, what happened is that you left the candidates to go share a bag of rice and T-shirts so that they could be elected. And go to
Moses,
out of that.
Moses, with due respect, what you're doing right now. You are acting like Colombo Law in the MMD Frank Hamilton case, who is making literally confession here, because you people have these politicians. You was always protecting them. Everything about them was great. They want to do that. You look at the situations on the surface without going in a part of it. One, your leaders did not define a clear vision for the country as to how they're going to lead. Hold on, I will give you a day to tell exactly how they're going to lead the country. What's their agenda? In the absence of that, you guys, the pundits and empire media institutions, stood in the way. You created a barrier. You created a wall of Jericho to deny Liberians the privilege, the right to question these people. And all you told us, the story was, when everything comes, it's going to be okay. Yeah, we are. It's not okay. You're finding it very difficult here to explain yourself, and you're trying to throw this rabbit at me. That's unfair.
Well, I think the media has power, and you know that media has power in any democracy and all nations, because the information that they share with the public are so vital to the future of the future endeavors or the future effect of all citizens, that you guys need to do your research and actually give the people the right kind of information so that they can make conscious decisions. And I can tell you that, time age, since, post-war, come on now, who do we have in our legislators? You tell me. Former rebel leaders we have in our legislators. We got former people, we got people there who have sanctions. So we have not educated people enough what sanctions means. We have people who are commit a crime somewhere or another, crimes that are serving in our legislators. So when you talk about these individuals and what they're doing, why do we expect any difference of them? You know, I don't want to get into politics. I want to get into the security, because I can tell you one thing: security.
Oh, it's a time with it because we insecurity, then that's a problem.
Economic development, and until we have some kind of formidable security in our nation, economic development, and people coming in to establish businesses, will still feed the threat. The security threat level is being elevated in Liberia every day based on actions that we've seen. And that people are sitting there, and because they're not aware of it, and we're not educating them enough, and they're not open to be educated, because they're so much into their comfort zone and think that everything is okay, because they have not seen anything outside of what is happening there, and they sit complacently and expect miracles to happen. When you tell people things, they say, "Oh, we got to pray about it." Yeah, if your prayer don't work and don't do anything, prayer means nothing to you. You prayed about it, but you got to get your butt up and go do something. I mean, our security sector is ridiculous. I saw another video with a young man in Pittsville, in another place, where they said he went to go steal something, and this kid, they had him in his underwears and flocking him in public, and they made sure he sat in the place where the ants were, and these things were biting this guy. We're talking about serious. It's on my page. If that's not mental health or something, I don't know. How do you humanly do something like that to somebody? Forget about him going to steal rice or something. How do you do that to your own? I mean, citizens, and people standing around, and they're actually beating this guy in his underwear and telling him to bathe in the ants. These mission ants are terrible. I don't know if he's going to survive, but he had no clothes on. How can people sit there and think it's okay? How? And every day there's new things happening in the place, and we can't seem to get our hands on things. I mean, and that's what happened post-war, because for 14 years we had a civil conflict, and there was total anarchy. Everybody took the law into their own hands. But now we've had 2 administrations come in. This is the 3rd one, and we see nothing happening. We see nothing happening.
You don't see nothing as of today, nothing happening?
Well, in the land of security and how we need to monitor ourselves, things are not evolving as we should be evolving.
So
We know that it's going to take a while to really see some effect in the country, but we got to take baby steps.
there you go. He's taking a tactical position now.
We're
It's
gonna
going to
take-
take a while. It's going
We're
to take
gonna
a
start-
while.
We're going to start correcting some of these things by first providing people their basic human rights. And human rights abuse is so prevalent in our
All right.
and people, you know, there are a lot of things we can do.
So okay, let's have a conversation here. You know, tonight here, and I hope you call your patrons, your disciple, to you know, if they want to come to your defense. That is okay, but this is just complete obituary that we are talking about here. That's a complete commentary after the game. This guy who are playing number 7, we should have this guy in the goalpost. This person should have played number 2. This person who have been the left fullback, the right fullback, or the Murphy, because the Murphy was lacking. Those are very good points that you have analyzed. But ultimately, Moses, the ball start with one person. You know, I know, in the African setting, the one with the predominant power in terms of execution, implementation, being forceful, is the guy up the hill there on the A floor. So if he or she does not set the agenda for the country, if there is no vision, and you're just going to be speaking, or you're going to be doing things off call because you want to appease your base, your demographic, and you want to produce a quick result, you make some pronouncement that you very much know that you will not follow through. and you as a leader is not taking the lead, people will not take you serious. And that's what has been happening.
Well,
Unfortunately, you and many others who should play a neutral role, like some of us, to have this authentic conversation and question your people. Guess what? I'm wondering whether, and let me use you as a case study. So can you permit me to, just for discussion purposes?
you can use me as your guinea pig all you want, my brother.
Well, you have no choice. You already in it. So I'm wondering whether you ask all of these questions. And it is important that we have this conversation because it's like, and I quite agree with you. The role of the media today in Liberia and other places is okay. But and I've said this over and over, the media is not a resistant force against or for the government or whatever, but we just stand there to have this national conversation. You know who we have extended invitations to a lot of people, and the reason they don't come here because some of them make some stupid demand. They want people to share questions with them. What specific question you're going to ask? You remember Shamon Brown, yes or no, stuff on LPR-TV those days?
Yeah.
Let's welcome Terry. Terry, Mr. Collins, good to have you.
Yeah, Mr. So good to have you.
So they will come here and they will come, you and them talking the back saying to be ridiculous. Sometimes we pull fly out.
Yeah.
And then we're oh, I hear they say you with this person and that person.
Yeah.
Being so judgmental. It's fair to have an outline of the conversation, fair enough. But for you to come and entrap me, for me to ask you where you were born, how old are you, whether you have any, no, that's not what we're supposed to do. So these people on purpose, and some of you perhaps, maybe you, Terry, and many other your advisors, and don't come, you come down there. And people blame on here that our own Zaro after that interview. People call me, oh, you the one got Zaro before the fire. Can you imagine? I mean, so that's the challenge that we are having. Instead, media empire intercede, serve as a proxy to these people and begin to do their work. And they're not telling us their agenda, their vision. They create a sort of false narrative, misinformation, and people follow it.
Well, Brother Swore, quickly, let me just say this. One of the things that I think is lacking in our media post-war has to do with the education part. And I know that with what you guys are providing, you do the best you can. But gone are the days when the Associated Press used to take things from Liberia that were reported and they will make it international news. When was the last time you saw anything happening in Liberia reported by our news media taken by the Associated Press?
You know what? Let me just tell you now.
You know, that's a rhetorical question. And the reason why that is, I think our media needs to be educated, because I can tell you one thing. I watch some of these media network in this Facebook, and thank God that technology is even better, and that this is an open freedom of speech where people can go and do that and exercise in those rights. However, some of these guys, some of these media institutions, we see the biases before you go on there. And I know about 3 of them on here. That's why I don't go on any of those shows. I don't comment on anything that they say, because before they start speaking, you see the biases.
Have you tried to engage them directly? I want to bring Terry in here because you're being judgmental, because probably they didn't say your way.
I'm just saying what I have observed.
Yeah, okay, all right.
These things that I've observed. I'm not making judgments.
So you know what happened?
How much of our media is associated with the Associated Press, so that when something comes out and they can research it and show that these are factual things to be able to share.
So what happens before I bring in Terry? And you are quite correct. Today's media has been factionalized. It's been factionalized. You see how the factions were in faction. But the day of Alenzon Carpe, the Moses Washington, when Lena was Lena.
Exactly. And those people.
And because Lena as a whole broadcast corporation, that's a central command for exchange of media to coordinate the Associated Press, the Al Jazeera. I mean, all of these big something. Let me just bring into it. But when you came, You factionalize everything. You decide to do it your own way. And that's what we have. And it's ongoing today when you have a media, a state broadcasting corporation that should focus on different programs, education, government initiative. Instead, they become the talking head and talk crazy stuff. Okay, so Terry, good evening. Good to have you.
Yeah, Mr. So good that you allow us to share our opinions on the LPR. And Mr. Moses Sigbe, Sion security analyst. Good to see you as well.
Why you want to picture me bad when you were allowed?
No, Mr. So anybody who gives you the opportunity to speak.
These guys are gradually corrupting you. I am afraid if this yeah.
Mr. So you my best. Listen, let me tell you, in the media, I respect you above all these,
let's have a conversation. I want us to change the gear here.
So we're honored to be here with you because of the respect.
Yeah. That's why
nobody gonna give me ice cream here for me to eat. It's too cool for that. So you don't even go there with it. On a serious note, already a couple of things caught my attention, and I think we need to return to base to have these things. When presidential mandates are not adhered to, are not carried out, are not enforced, and that sort of leadership is not shown. The social issue. Every now you wake up, somebody stab somebody, take another person's life away. It's concerned. Why the social services aspect of the government arm, or even these tons of organizations in the country? What is lacking? What are we not doing? We as a people, are we not doing enough? Or is this the same Liberian mentality? Oh, you lead the people, man, the people, I mean, nothing wrong with him. And people do not understand that the country went into a bloody civil war. And I said here, the demobilization aspect was incomprehensive. It was not complete. We don't know how many people really got the help that they needed to get. You see somebody wearing suit and wearing gold chain, nice car there. That's not just auto A. A lot too much going on. And like those days, the Catherine may have where they used to attend to people with different intellectual disabilities and all of that. People were getting help, but where is government-run institutions? That international organization will come and help. Hundreds, millions of dollars were invested in the Helen Johnson led government for the rehabilitation process. Can anybody tell me the statistics? How many persons were successfully integrated, treatment plan, counseling, reintegration into society as normal person? How many person? Nothing. They take the industry, they kind of eat from there, they go, they smoke the weed, they smoke the opium, they bring in drugs, they do it. Governments upon government comes in, they're going to fight drugs. They claim those were the agenda, will do this. The action part are not implemented. And they expect us to have a normal society. If you look at what is happening, let me hear you, Terry.
Well, Mr. So Liberia, it's sad to say it's a disaster waiting to happen. Mr. Moses said some things the other time that I already jot down. You talk about, like in the United States, you got many different security apparatus responsible for different kinds of issues. But in Liberia, we got only one security apparatus, which is the police, that everybody depending on to do all the work. So police over to do fire work, police over to do human, so we suffering from a lot of things. And the reason I think is because of the people are political. Liberia have been weighted down by politics. Everybody have taken a side. Everybody have become political because that is where the biggest budget is in government. So nobody is willing, even the civil society organizations, they cannot do their work effectively, because if they do not take a side, they will not be able to benefit from anything. They will not be able to benefit from any money coming from the government or coming from any international organization. So we are suffering from this kind of society that is polarized with political view and opinions. And once you don't have a political view on one side, if you're not a sedition, or if you're not a UPAs, or if you're not a communist guy, obviously, your agenda is not going to go through to be able to make an impact in the society. You guys are talking about the journalism. What is the journalist doing? Most of the journalists, you wake up in the morning, they're one-sided. They're talking politics. They don't care about what's going on. Like today, I was listening to OKFM, and there was a lady who lost her daughter. I think about 11 years old or 10 years old. She from Logantown. The daughter went to PHP, to the park. And up to now, she has not returned home from the Christmas celebration. So, who dare to check these things? And the person, there was a body found somewhere, and I think one of the spoon reporters were reporting it. People just here and there dying all over the place, and there is nobody talking about it. Nobody focused on it. And that is an issue, because we don't have the kind of security network that will be able to provide that absolute security in every sector of the country. The on the OKFM, another guy called, and he said something. He said, when people do rape, like in Nima County, when there is a rape case, it takes sometimes almost 2 weeks before even a police officer, before the person can be brought to a police station, because the area they are located, there is no police officer in that vicinity. So there are a lot of crimes that go on in the interior that do not even come to the attention of any security apparatus until after 2 weeks, 1 month, or so, because there is no police officer in those locations. So it tells you that our country is a disaster waiting to happen. And I don't see the president, I don't see any government that come in, they're not working on the security. You have war. We have just come from war. We have just come from war. I thought that all the government in 12 years will be able to work on modalities that will tackle the area of recruiting more people into the security apparatus and into the army, that will be able to, that you have a budget set aside to empower these people, give these people training, let them go to school. Some of them can be attending the army, and then the government be paying the school fee to learn other trade, engineering, and other things to contribute to the society. We are lacking human development, and all of that. So as a result, the military is not attractive. The police is not attractive. Other security sectors are not attractive enough to attract the people, the younger guys into the area, because there are no benefits that is provided to take care of the needs of the people. So as a result, you will have a society that is just polarized with politics, because everybody feels that once you have a side and your side wins elections, you have a side? Job.
Do you have a side? Yes.
Mr. So I'm independent. But yes, I supported a side because there was a need. So it doesn't mean that I will continue supporting this side if I see that this side continue to go downhill. I told you that time.
I'm just asking you a question, though. Independent, but then what about for? Look.
So let me say something. And let me just add on to my brother. The fact of the matter is that when we talk about ethics, everyone has a side. Believe it or not. How you exercise what you do ethically determines whether it's for the greater good or it's for one side. I said that to say that when people wake up, other media sources out there get up and say, oh, this police department is owned by Joseph Boakai. I find it to be a problem. When we are there, oh, the police can only adhere to we are. You know, someone spoke the other day and talked about the imperial system that we have, where the president is over all, and they're saying the president should have intervened with the legislative issues. What we don't realize is that leadership comes in 4 different forms. We have the visionary, we have the folks who are the detailed people who ask all the critical questions. We have the people who are the nurturer, who go and get people to come and join. And we got people who are the doers. You can have a vision, but if you don't have these other 4 leadership skills, or you don't bring people specifically with these other 4 leadership skills, your vision is not going to be realized. And that's what we find in our country today. We have people with visions, but no one adhered to it because they say, oh, that's not my idea. I ain't going there to be bothered with it. That's not how it works. So say this. The president is not above all. We know he's the president. But for crying out loud, our people need to start taking some initiatives, and we need to start opening, like Terry said. Some of the things that are going on, we need to retrain. What are we going to expect from the police department after the war? The first form of policing that came in after the war were those that were closer to Taylor. And to today's day, some of them are still in the police department. And so that police department was that police force were put in place by Charles Taylor. When Charles Taylor left and Ellen took over, what Ellen did? She brought ECOWAS to protect her because she didn't trust them. And there were very minimum effort. With all the money the UN spent, there was very minimum effort put in to retrain and to begin to build a viable, accountable, and sustainable security. The United Nations envoy to Liberia in 2012 came up with a report and said Liberia was not capable of taking over their own security. Fast forward, Ellen leave, we are take over, ECOWAS leave.
Right.
Who we are brings in? The people from the beach. They recruited those guys from the beach. We got videos. We saw people.
When we are left.
Listen. I'm just trying to break this down for people to understand. Josh Weah, Mane, when he had his people who were loyal to him, went on the beach, collected these young guys, some of whom didn't have shoes on their feet, no shirt, and recruited them, said they were trying to put a police force together. And some of those people were given arms and given the right to go there and protect Weah.
Okay. So
what do we expect of the police and the security? Police bring, like Colin, my brother said, police has gotten the duty of every security force.
So answer my question, Moses. This is what you guys do. When we are left, what happens?
When we are left, the same people in the police. You see, police don't work for the president.
After we are administration.
No, wait a minute. Let me answer your question. Policing is an institution. They have no loyalty to any particular leadership. But in Liberia, it's the other way around. When people come in and say, oh, the police belong to the president. So the president said what the police supposed to do. And that's what we need to get away from. The police don't work for the president. It's an institution by itself. That's what in policing they tell you, you cannot go out and say, oh, I support this political party or I support, because you work for the institution. That's what is required for you to provide security, to protect every citizen. That's what police officers are supposed to do. You protect every citizen no matter what their classification is, no matter what their economic status are, everyone. And so you cannot.
So let me ask you.
We need to, you got something that I put together about reforming the entire security sector. Post-war.
Did you give that? And I mentioned that. I'm asking you, give that to Joseph Boyka. You supported Joseph Boyka.
I have made that open to the leadership.
And what
I
happened?
went home in 2013. That's where my research started. One of the first things I tried to address was mental health, because it was very prevalent in 2013. And it has exacerbated to the point that it's totally out of control. Post-war, there were a lot of people that were affected by the trauma. You cannot rehabilitate these people. You have to habilitate them. And rehabilitation means that the people were living in good condition, you put them back into that condition they were living in. But because most of the people were born during the war and participated, you cannot train them going back to that lifestyle. So you cannot rehabilitate them to that lifestyle. You have to habilitate them. What is that going to take? It's going to take a lot of effort and commitment and sustainability.
Oh, yes.
And sustainability.
You know?
But I'll share, to answer your question, I'll share that document with few people. And you're one of the few. Because when you put those documents out there and people don't look at it, it's you start putting it out there when people are not going to look
I
at
have it, but unfortunately, I'm not a policy, I'm not a decision maker. So, I mean, your people that you share it with.
You see, you keep saying that your thing you can do.
And to be honest, I'm one of those.
Yeah,
I've called these people.
Our people.
Well,
You know?
I know some of us. I mean, we are very open-minded addressing this. And the reason they are also, is it a good thing to factionalize military institutions or military security apparatus like the police? Absolutely not. It's dangerous.
Very.
But the executives, the presidency, not just when they're in Liberia, they have these people, and they do not just have it, they don't realize to the back of their mind that they are professional institutions and they must be preserved. Your allegiance, you're there to provide security, but your allegiance is to the country. How many of them really get that? So we found out that leaders, the president, exercise that extraordinary power over the police, the military, the security personnel, and they use those very institutions to do their dirty work. Now, I want to do, when I found on here, part of what contributed to them, we all know what we went through the war. And with this whole election from 2017, when we start seeing these proliferations of political power, having these malicious groups, I say that was dangerous.
Yeah.
Guess what? People, even who been in government, and they didn't pay attention. The Reverend Pastor here and his friends, some of them, they will say, "Oh, I mean, that was happening in South Africa and this and that." And what happened? When George Weah, whatever Sabu group or whatever group, the Joseph Boyka, whatever Green Barrel or Blue Barrel, when they all came to, they decided to incorporate these people because they felt by just putting that barrel on them and just joking like this, they had enough training, discipline, skills, and what it takes to be a military person. What happened? These people were uniformed. They were incorporated in different security apparatus. This is where all of this trouble is coming from. And you were talking, well, Helen Johnson Sirleaf started, but he too was there as the deputy. Now they are there. They should see out of this properly. That's the danger when people want to be leaders. When they take care, when they bring a vision for the country, when they unveil their vision, why in fact you want to be president. If you take a comprehensive tour, there are some countries don't even have police patrol car. So why should we even believe the police? Why should we blame these people when they do not even have the logistics? When criminals are more powerful than the person who's supposed to be wearing the uniform, that when they see them, if they want to commit a crime, I tell you, before I turn over to Terry, just around 6 something, I was coming from work. One of our followers was called me. It was 8 o'clock here is like 7 o'clock is around what time because of the 5-hour delay. Because I asked about the 7 o'clock. Somebody sitting in front of their house, just few meters, 7 o'clock, and they were there they hold the door banking. He said when he went there to go to the shop, and went there to go ask about who doing it, he said, call yourself woman in Makaya. I mean, broad evening, 7 o'clock, trying to break the wall, and people going over people's houses to enter their. Now, these are very, very serious and scary issues. So if you have a lawmakers and you have a sitting president, and this is in the interest of fairness, not that with Joseph Boyka, but all of these government, that you refuse to invest resources, strong police or response force to come background, train them, prepare them, equip them. If that doesn't happen, and you have lawmakers running over $150,000-$40,000 ministers, and you expect police to use a face cap to go fight criminals, somebody that is, because first of all, everybody used to arm directly and indirectly, people fought war, so they don't even scare. They just used to it. So you need to have a very strong, aggressive in a sense. They must be equipped with all of the logistics. Those days, nearly every quarter, the Gallonville, the Lockington, the Painesville, they have strong police detachment. They have patrols cars sitting there. If there's anything, they respond. But something happened in Gallonville, you gotta go, somebody gotta come for Central. Are you kidding me? And you think you're gonna have a safe society? So I think it is time to return to baseline. For those of you that are closer to those guys, to the higher up, to say, wait a minute, it's time to have, in fact, where is your agenda? How you intend to secure this country security-wise? How do you intend to make this country proficient when it comes to feeding itself? What are the social services agenda? But when you have minister, when you have president, when you have people traveling, they just take only their family people, right? When you have minister, one group of people go on delegation over and over. The reasons you have these different agencies of people to go with you so that they will expose them to their counterpart and begin to lobby. But because they're so mean, it's all about their fabulous and useless allowances they give themselves. So they select the people of their confidence and go back. And you think patrol car they're going to be falling from in the sky? No, Terry.
But Mr. So, right, you got a point there. But these people need to think. If they make the money and steal the money from the country, and after several years, you don't have the ability to protect your wealth, what become of it? The very people you stole from will broker around your property and they will steal from you too. So that is what
you're taking me to go somewhere where I don't want to go. Now you are telling me the guy who is the head, who is the chief administrator of the country, who is responsible to prosecute, to hold people accountable, when he comes out and make a ridiculous, absurd statement, steal and bless, we encourage you. And then they come back to kind of try to face it. Terry, tell me, then how will you want to blame people for that?
Well, Mr. So, I don't want to go down there because I know that statement did not really mean what people have twisted it into being.
Yeah,
obviously.
This is what you guys do, and this is where I can get problem.
Mr. So, I wanted to make some point here.
Moses is scratching his neck now because
before my senior brother come in, I wanted to make some point here. The thing here is that, Mr. So, they fear these people who taking these monies that claim that they're stealing the corruption data. At the end of the day, if you don't have the security to protect them, they will lose everything they're trying to gather.
No, it's inexcusable. You see, you're trying
because
to. I'm not
for example,
with you.
This is the system we find ourselves in. Before you even rent a property, they have to do a background check on you. Before you rent one bedroom apartment in America, they have to do a background check. Do you have that kind of system in Liberia?
Why is
you don't have it? Before you work in an entity, they have to do a background check. They got to know who you are. Whether you got a criminal record, you went to jail before, they got to know that before they even grant you. That alone is security all by itself. Most
Terry.
properties, more houses, they have
Terry.
CCTV cameras.
Terry.
I
Terry.
bet so another man better brother finish.
No, you see, when you start with it kind of talk about
I know
that,
what you want to do. You want to wrap that thing around me, but still, you will not make it.
Let him complete his thought process. I beg you. There we can.
Mr. So you will not make it. That
Go ahead.
Mr. Boyka thought you trying to wrap a rabbit to net, it will not hold. The old man, the probably can't clarify. What more you want again?
You know what happened? When somebody, no, you see, you came here, you were in defense of it. You know, this is the problem. No. Don't you guys were in defense of it. Oh, you didn't mean it. So yeah, let's have an honest conversation, General.
Yes, sir.
Remember, 2017, when President Weah made that ridiculous statement as well, equivalent to what Boyka said. That when remember, I was trying to find a video to play it. When President Weah, when he spoke to one of his rallies or whatever gathering, that anybody who calls the president would not walk in the street. You remember that?
Yeah.
You know what does that suggest?
Yeah.
And we all scramble on it here that when you are a leader, when you miss a proclamations of some comments, statement, it does have a weight. It may not mean something maybe to scare people or whatever else will stop that, but guess what? Other people who tends to be loyalists of that president to win the president's support. The president may not facilitate or authorize people to do bad things, but guess what? People always want to show that sort of commitment. They will go and act upon that president's statement. Yeah. So when that happens, who you hold responsible? You hold it. This is why a leader, to your thought, it must be seasoned, because people will scrutinize it, people will process it. It's the same as this old man sitting down in a gathering, and he thinks that he was in his comfort zone and made those kind of statements. Now we all went away. Why are they making clarification? And because they know very well it was not right. And you gave the opposition the leverage to have a conversation to distract you when you talk about,
You call yourself, huh?
What?
You calling yourself opposition?
I'm not saying myself. I'm talking about the other side. I say when you give the I don't have a party. I say you give the opposition a leg. So at the end of the day, you allow holiday to pass to come be the one to come straighten your tongue.
Okay. But so let me just add to this conversation. And I think that, we're all bound to make mistakes. Leaders make mistakes. And we know that the same thing with Ellen. When Ellen sat there and said that everybody should form their own vigilante groups in Liberia, I'm sure you remember that.
Yes.
To fight crimes. That was one of the worst things that she could declare in that country. Because if I didn't like you and you were in the neighborhood, I put a group together.
Exactly.
Come and challenge. I could have come after you with that group and say, oh, the man tried to break in the house. And we saw widespread of crime all over the place because she told people to create vigilante groups in their community where crimes were high. And that exacerbated the crimes rate in the country. You see, so when president goes there and your thought process, there's something that says it's not what you say, but how you say it, which is very important. And we know that sometimes our people may speak, and it's not restricted to only Liberian leaders. All leaders around the world, they say things that sometimes they fumble. But you look at that and it become a learning curve for that leader and for everybody else. And the conversation goes on after their statement is for people to ration out some of these things that the leaders said and to think. And it's good for conversation. It's good for conversation. And so that the leader learns next time not to make those kind of abrupt statements in public like that. And that they would think things over before they come in to say what they're saying and make sure it's suitable for the position that they hold, that leadership position. There's certain things that are expected of you. And that's what Stanley said, with great powers come great responsibility.
Yeah,
You
so
have huge responsibility to make sure that you want to research everything. You want to make sure you're on top of things before you open your mouth to say certain things. So
wow.
he's not going to be the last person. And I hope that the people who are trying to correct this
So,
will use their teaching moment so that there won't be another fumble.
so yeah, what I have here. You see,
that's my objective view of the whole thing.
That was not the objective view yesterday. Instead, you put a defense layer. So yeah, what we're saying. This is where
where?
all of you and Jared Washington, everybody.
That was me and Mr. Two.
All of you're the same people. You're maybe but yeah, it's the thing. Most it's quite correct. Yeah, it's the thing. This is where some of us have problems. When these things happen, look, when you see it out front, address it. And this is the dangerous aspects of the Liberian politicians and most cases African politicians. Here, for the most part, sometimes you see our lawmaker, no one is saying, all of us here, we now mess up, but Liberian politicians, they will never, never, never come to say, I'm sorry for making this statement. I've never seen a Liberian politician do that. And the worst of it, they are surrogate. They will come and serve us a reminder. Yesterday, what I mean.
Let me Mr. So Liberian politicians, you see, one of the things you guys keep making error on is you keep comparing the American politics to African politics or Liberian politics. Every political democracy has a tradition on the basis of the culture in which it belongs. So you can bring in our traditional politics, an African leader cannot come and repent or say he's sorry. That alone is it will blow his political base out of proportion. He would lose a lot of credibility in the media and things, because Liberian politicians, they take one word and carry it for years. They don't easily forget about it because they know the kind of minds they want to influence. All right, that is why most of the time, the propagandists of that particular political institution will come and defend a statement, even though the statement does not go, because there's a tendency that the opposition, when they take that statement, they can write it and use it to come to power. Take, for example, today, and the United Party, there were several statements that were played from President Weah leadership and other people that brought him down today. So you get how you account. This is not in America where Donald Trump can kind of say, oh, you know, he said one thing tomorrow, he can't say different thing, and the people rationalize it because you have a society with intellectuals. How much intellectual you get in Liberia?
No,
once you do one thing, people will ride it for 5 years.
I disagree with you, Mr. Collins. You are one of the intellectuals, but what happens, you can close one of your eyeball, and then your team will die.
The situation you're discussing tonight on the public speech, I gave my analogy on it last night. And in my view, he did not mean what people say it is. And I get it.
That's the same thing. So what was the clarification? The reason people clarify, because when they know there's something that they say that doesn't make sense, that sends a huge wave, that could be insane. That is why, as a leader, when you mount the podium, you must be concise, you must be precise. Nobody is a soothsayer to say, oh, this is what I'm thinking, because you're going to be speaking to people. It's common in the communication. Know your audience. You don't go talk to people who are kindergarten and just start jumping things together without them understanding what I'm saying. The president, this is a experienced president who has been within the proximity to who are working government for a long time. And you're having such a society that is so convoluted, so polarized. So when you come back, it's the same thing we're talking about George Weah. Anybody who will cause the president, you will not walk the street. That the connotation of that alone If you are opposition and you have a sitting president that you do not agree with on
That was a
principle,
direct statement, Mr. So. You can't compare it with what the president said.
You see,
Well, let me just add a little bit.
He's slashing it right now.
That was a direct statement, President Weah made.
My brother,
So the president said, let's go back.
Let me just say this real quick, Professor. Let me just say this real quick. You know, we try to equate politics with culture. There's a difference between leadership and politics. We're talking about your role as a leader, giving you the responsibility over certain people. You got to watch what you say and how you say it as a leader. And that's what today we see in the growing democracy. We see more open now what we call servant leadership. You got to bring people up with you. You can't look down on people. So when we're talking about leadership, we can't equate it to politics, because politicking is convincing the next person to buy into your ideas. That's what politicking is.
So are you saying
the person? But when you are a leader and you're in there, there's certain characteristics that are important for leadership. Good listening skills, good skills of being inclusive. There are a whole list of things that you need to do as a leader and bringing people together. So that's different from politics, folks. Let's not confuse the two.
I know,
It's a responsibility as a leader to do certain things at certain times. And you need to watch what you do as a leader. You can't just go out and be fumbling. That's what I said in a few minutes ago, that there should be a teaching moment for those around the old man, for the people who writing his speeches and all that kind of stuff, to make sure you don't insert these things, these kind of comments. If you were speaking out of, and we know how many times Mr. Trump fumbled things. That's why he never had press conferences. No, because when he goes out there, he talks free, even on the campaign. The people didn't trust him to go out there and read from the teleprompter because he would divert. And we saw that numerous times. And that was his leadership skill, because he doesn't know how to use Trump.
So,
you see? So my thing is that let's look at this as a teaching moment and try use your forum to let people know around him. I hope they can listen to it so we can share some of these ideas, and so that these things cannot continue to repeat itself in our leadership.
Well, to be honest with you, I view that particular thing differently. And I think the president meant what he said, and people just took the opportunity to twist what he said into something else.
Derek, you're thinking rationally. How many people can really do critical thinking in Liberia and say,
I get it. That's why I said our traditional politics.
Yes.
Because like what you just said, right? In America, with all of what happened to Trump, you and I know maybe in our society, Trump will not be president today. He will not come back to leadership. But in America, because the people could rationalize, they could think about it, they decided to bring it back. So when you say that these people are out of their mind, they're out of their head, no, it is their culture mixed with their democracy. In my opinion, every democracy comes with a certain culture based upon the terrain you come from. So
when you talk about culture, what specifically are you making reference to?
The way we do things. The way we do things. The way you tell the narrative.
Let me tell you. You see, we try to take our own perceptions to a national cause, or what you think you believe in, I should believe in it. Bottom line, that's how we feel, and that is wrong. The Trump you're talking about, yes, we might disagree with him politically, but their ideologies for which the voter trusted him, that certain thing, and this is why we don't do
what
it.
are some? What are some of them?
We talk about immigration, other immigration. What it might not make sense, but that was one of the things. He was talking about security. Security, he feels that his country is being invaded. He pushed this here that they are immigrant doing X, Y, Z. So typical American, they see it that way. They see he is being projected as someone who is strong, can do this, and there were some other things, that they disagree with. But what I'm saying
that
here,
is what we're talking about.
what I'm saying, okay, let's restrict this to our conversation here. What were the conversations all of these presidential candidates? Tell me, what was the conversation that was held for us based on what that the vote went this way?
The conversation was held around a similar thing that transpired in American politics. We talk about culture, right? Trump was speaking directly to what the American people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and the fear for a security threat to their entire national security. Or Joseph Walker were also speaking to the issues that had to do with national security threat too, that involved with drugs, the way President we are handling drugs.
What has become okay? So you see, so he succeeded.
But tell me, and that's what I'm saying, Mr. So that's why I'm saying culture, you got to look at culture from all perspective in this regard. You when you're running a political land, when you're running a political or something, you got to consider what is the most pressing issue in regards to what is going on in your country now that the people need, and you have to tackle it. And I said to you that if Trump was in Liberia with all of the charges on him and all these kind of things, he would have never become president. Our culture would not have allowed him to become president.
Why Chancellor?
But that could happen in America.
Let me ask, why Chancellor was election? Why Chancellor, the man who waged a war, who brought a war, over 200 some more thousand people? Why the culture allow it?
Chancellor was a different species. Chancellor came from a typical revolutionary diagram. Chancellor came with the National Patriotic Front, which came to revolutionize or the country from a junta leader who forcibly who forcibly rigged the elections. So you must understand that Chancellor came from a revolutionary perspective. So his own fight was different from what we're looking at here.
I agree. He brought a revolution. The revolution subsided. They went into an election. Why did Liberian didn't have a good thought process that, hey, wait a minute, this guy here, anyway, he finished with everything finished now. Why would he still want to be there? Why did he decide to reward him with presidency?
Because again, the message he was talking about, he came with that revolutionary mindset. He came with that revolutionary jargons that he was going to turn things around because he's the patriotic party of Liberia, and he brought this revolution, and people were kind of there were several things were involved. People were afraid. Number one, people were afraid. People were afraid that maybe if we don't give this guy power, he might let them go back into the bush.
So culture was ignored, correct?
Culture was not necessarily ignored. So you're trying to say, you're trying to say that the Americans ignore the culture to
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. You talking about culture. What I'm saying here is, and you made a point. If you say culture now, I'm not sure what specifically you're talking about, because when you're talking about culture now, you're trying to hold certain standards. And let's assume that standard, okay, Samuel Doe, they did whatever they do and all sort of stuff yet. Okay, the revolution subsided. People decided to go to the election. He decided to contest, which of course he. So what I'm saying here, if we value culture, it will value tradition, it will value human dignity, human the existence of mankind, whatever they agree and disagree with. But we saw the heinous crime committed, genocide, not only Liberia, it extended to neighboring country. So if we really took culture as the basis of our existence as people, as human beings, then my question is, this guy who did all of this with other people who decided to come after his revolution, why should we still reward him?
Well,
So I'm just understanding culture, then culture, we are already pushed culture aside.
Mr. So, let me just interject and say, number one is that you got to understand that this war lasted for 14 years. Number one, during that time of 14 years, there was certain behavior that became learned behavior and adaptable behaviors. So it changed the people's way of life. And culture is the way of life of a group of people. It changed their way of life. It's the same thing that happened with the same thing that happened with Taylor. You came up, I will vote for you. The same thing happened with Ellen. When Ellen came, she said, let flatten Monrovia, we can rebuild it. The same thing that happened with when he came in. Okay.
Yes.
So
No boy, you know
saw
boy.
that pattern.
That's
We
true.
saw that pattern. And people say, oh, we have loved the country and we're voting for him because he's very popular. They were not looking at what he could do specifically to help that nation to kind of grow after the Civil War. And so we pay the price for what we do all the time. Even in your home, there's certain things you do in your home, you pay for the price. You pay the price. Okay, so we will continue to do that until we start to build this sense of belonging, this sense of love for country, because people right now don't have that. The culture in Liberia since the civil conflict, before, during the Civil War, was total anarchy. Go and fend for yourself. Look at this little thing that happened. This young man killed his own father, allegedly because he thought he found money. Those
So
are
that,
during the war.
okay, no.
That's the kind of culture
So,
created, Mr. Sewell, real quick. Those are the kind of culture that are created during the Civil War. And there's people still living in those times. You see, and that's what happened. And Terry was saying if Trump had gone to Liberia, where the poor are going to vote for? Yes, the poor are going to vote for him. They voted for Sam Miguel.
I tell you, right?
They voted for
That's a good point
a
too.
convicted felon. They got people with sanctions in Liberia that they voted for rebel leaders in the legislators. You see,
so
So what's the difference? What's the difference between us and the United States?
Yeah,
Actually,
well, no, we're not. I'm not going to go there to compare.
okay,
that.
yeah.
My conversation here is how do we move forward and begin to create the atmosphere of educating people and making these programs teaching tools for our people, so that their mindset can begin to start being reformed to understand their own as citizens, their own responsibility to their country. Because brothers, the CEO came up with an issue with drugs. And I really want to go into the drug state.
yeah, we need to talk about
that a little bit. But
yeah,
I just wanted to put that 2 cents in for the cultural piece and the political piece and what
two of you, that your tabata you're on here. This is what the thing to get out to do here. That culture, that your own culture in your own world to satisfy your. As far as I'm concerned, the people that maintain culture is just a manifestations of human dignity. You know, the people that maintain that hold their culture at high esteem is the Sierra Leonean. They never rewarded all of these people that brought that sort of carnage upon their country.
I agree.
You agree, Terry? Do you agree as well?
I don't know about
partly because most of the people they even voted also partook of the war in different ways. They contributed to the war too. So how will you just? But Mr. So the thing here is that everybody, I believe,
let me be a little bit ridiculous here, like your guys, liberal professor, because you like to have some sort of ridiculous conversation. So let me just pose this rhetorical question here. If for any reason,
you want to put more food under the fire?
Yeah. No, let me just ask a question. Let me see how you're gonna because you're gonna pivot 360 degrees. If President Joseph Boyka, the statement that was made, let's rewrite it. Suppose he had made a statement. Any of you children, your power not listen to you. You must be there. If possible, your kid. I'm just saying for discussion purposes. If the president had made such a proclamation, and then 2 days after this young man, the kind of deadly thing that he did, would that be attributed to his statement? Will we hold him responsible? Will we say, don't you think other people will act honestly? Oh, this is what the president said. That's why he did it. You don't think so?
Well, Mr. So, then why you can't hold Safoko responsible for burning the capital?
No,
because Safoko said 6 months ago that he will burn the joint chamber.
Okay, Safoko said that, and we found on it, we said it was ridiculous. You need, and that's what I brought here. You need to tell the government at this time how long since the Capitol building being burned. Where is the investigation? And I asked this question. You have a police chief who told us they brought Safoko can be anybody. No one is above the law. Was brought in for questioning. I don't know what was the detail for which he was released. He was set free. It means the security did their work. He was vindicated. However, prior to that incident, I'm coming. Prior to that incident, the police told us, the police chief told us that building was sealed. It was fortified, meaning different apparatus, security apparatus was there. And where you have 3, 4, 5, 10 men with my limited knowledge.
So, Mr. So, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, but let me finish my point for you. That's how you want to do. I want to believe, Moses, you are a security person. If there's a crime or whatever thing here, and you have 10 and 15 or more men, I don't know precisely how many persons were deployed on the ground of the Capitol. I believe there will be a commander, correct? Somebody there to supervise the shit. Don't scratch your neck. You're trying to find a way to get it out here. There will be somebody to supervise the men on the ground, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if that is the case,
always in a situation of this, they should have a command post. They should have created a command post somewhere, particularly to deal with this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what the security do, because
so
it's always advisable not to put the head, that the IG, in charge of any of these things. You take somebody else and put it in charge of command post, because once you put the IG in charge, what happens is that he becomes compromised, because then you're making deal with the head and you're not negotiating properly. So you put somebody else. You put somebody there.
Can I finish my point, guys?
So that way.
Can I finish my points? You're trying to.
I wanted to ask Mr. Moses a question on this.
So
he answered me your question, Mr. So.
I'm just trying to answer your.
So what I'm saying, I don't know what I answered, but what I'm saying, you see, when you have a transparent system,
okay,
and that you are not selective in making, or you're not reactionary because you want to please somebody out there. I didn't hear, I don't know when last they had a briefing. I didn't hear anything whether the commander assigned at the Capitol was either suspended for questioning, because they are obliged to tell us what happens after the 2 houses building was sealed. Who entered that building? How? Was there anybody that deserted their post, fall asleep, or was there any sort of inside work by the security people who infiltrated the border? What did they do? They put out every wall of 5,000. I think 5,000, whatever US, anybody leading to the information. I think the very first thing first, the people that were there, they must tell us whether there was internal investigation, where that breach came from. Only for us to happen that one day we found out that the chamber and people moved the lag, the chain lag. We hear that. Has there been any briefing since then to tell us how far are we as a people, as a nation? Nothing.
Okay, Mr. So let me just say this to you. Number one is that building and all government facility need trained officers who can sweep the building, and it cannot be the police work. That's number one. I'll continue to say that. I hope this become a teaching moment so that all government facilities, the government can now look at the process of employing people specifically to secure the buildings that are government buildings, that are state buildings. And that's what people do in the 21st century. Police are not trained. Police don't know all the aspects of the game. Police does not do fire investigation. What I'm hearing from you is you have just alluded to the fact that because last week you were talking about the fire was electric. So now you know that some intruder went in and put flammable liquid in there because they saw a container and put the place ablaze. So I would take you for saying, yeah, that's what happened.
That's not what I said.
What happened is that's what happened. That's what now you want to know. How did the person get in the building when it was 45 by the police department? So that's my interpretation of what you're trying to say.
Right. So, Mr. Moses, I also want to ask you a question. Since you're the security analyst, okay, yeah, go ahead and finish your statement.
So these are things that need to be put in place. Police don't know how to investigate fire. They'll bring people in for questioning. The first thing is that, Mr. Foucault, you have all the probable cause to hold this man for as long as, at least for 72 hours before charging him. You don't call a possible person of interest in and have another person accompany them to a conversation, as Fanati did. Fanati should not have been in that room for that question when Foucault was invited. He was not an attorney to Foucault. He was the sitting speaker. You don't do that because when you do that, you think your case, and that means you don't have any case. There are a whole lot of stuff that is going on. Investigation tactics, like my brother Jerry said, there's investigation and there's interrogation. There's a total difference between investigation and interrogation. When you're investigating, you're collecting facts. When you're interrogating, you're targeting an individual to see what truth you can get out of that person and their participation.
Okay, so Moses, using your expertise, investigations, interrogation, which come first?
Investigation comes first, obviously. And then you start to get your people of interest. And your people of interest can be brought in for questioning. And that's not limited. Them back. Because you release them and say, listen, if we have further questions, we'll be bringing you back in.
Okay.
So Mr. Moses.
At that time, you can let them know. We hope that you will stay around. If you think that person have a flight break, then you ask for the person to pass their passport over, or you make sure you go through the court process and say, we want this person under house arrest, or we want to hold this person in the cell until our investigation is completed. Because by then, you have to provide evidence to the court to say why this man is a suspect.
So, Mr. Moses,
yes.
I would like to ask a question. Like Mr. So always say, when the police were on the ground, the police sealed the place. So is it possible for like what happened in America here, right, to the Capitol, that the Capitol was stormed? Wasn't the police aware that this was going to happen? Most of the time, because what I know, sometimes a police officer can be aware that a crime will occur, but they do not know the exact time. They do not know the exact person going to commit a crime. So it becomes difficult for them to engage the crime before it even happens. Wow. So when you say like the way the protesters stormed the Capitol in the United States of America, you want to tell me that the police were not on the ground when they did that?
Well, let me just say,
not aware.
Let me say this. That's what I said in the beginning. The police needs to be institutionalized. Number one is that the Capitol already had the Capitol Police. that were trained to protect the capital. The police, the DC Police Department, and that's why they said the DC Police should hold up. The police came on the scene, but they were held back because they thought they had people to protect the capital. Not until later on, when they start to break in, then they said, we need help. The Capitol Police had to request for help. They called the President's office to even deploy the National Guard. And they're talking about ever. The police are not, they can't go on the ground until they get authorization from the Capitol Police. Total different jurisdiction.
That's a
no police can walk in the Capitol building. No police can just walk in the Capitol building and go arrest somebody.
Terry.
You see, Terry? So, no. Let me just say that. Because you remember, before that demonstration, what was happening? The minority group, 2 days prior to, were in the front. And what were they saying? They have police there with them and telling people no one from the executive will come.
Yes.
And they shut the gate and put chain on the gate. The minority bloc.
So, yeah.
The minority bloc did that. And the police were there providing security for them as well.
Right.
The police were there with them, providing them security.
And they demanded to back off. What my point is, Mr. So, is this.
So the whole thing was combobulated with the loss of law and order, period.
Terry, you're trying to
go ahead, Jerry.
Terry trying to
Mr. So, what I wanted to say is, what I wanted to really say is that it's not every time a police can be on the scene and a crime can occur. A criminal mind, a person with a criminal mind, you can never tell what the criminal is going to do. That is why, and to me, to be honest with you, I believe that if the police had not involved themselves in this thing like the way they did, but now maybe the entire capital would have been burned down. Because I believe
police work is reactive.
That's your perception, Terry. I disagree with that.
Terry, police work is reactive. And just to support you a little bit, police don't get involved until something happens. They react.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So things that they will now, like now we see it. The work now has to be for the legislator and the administration on how this is now going to be replicated in the future. So then you become proactive. That means you have to train police officers now in a proactive form.
So what we're saying here.
A better way.
Mr. So is saying that he blamed the police for saying that they sealed the place, but yet and still there was a break-in. I am saying that when a criminal wants to commit a crime, a police can be in a location, and the criminal can still carry on his operation. That is what I'm trying to say. That if somebody have planned to do something to a specific place, even though police officers can be on the scene, the crime can be committed still. It may not be committed
if the police know that a crime is about to be committed, the police is trained to make sure it doesn't happen.
I agree. But what I want to say is that there's because Mr. So keeps saying
it's not a matter of Mr. So, but this is a contradiction, and that's why you guys are saying.
Go ahead, so
the comparison you're making with what happens to Capitol is a different thing. It's a different thing. The Capitol only was some sort of spontaneous based on what the president was saying at the time. They never had enough.
Brother, it was planned for months.
Right. No, what I'm saying, I'm not going to. No, the reason what I'm saying.
It was planned.
The protocols that they have there in terms of who to call, who to give order. There are protocols involved. Okay. In this case with Liberia. But what you will also agree with me, there was no full deployment of even National Guard or DC police other than the Capitol Police until the actions of invasion by these group before they start calling for help. Unlike in Liberia,
Yes.
in Liberia. The security gets ahead of the situation based on what happened first. And the police chief told us that they were not going to allow entry. People were saying, going to go there, it was you. Now, when police who's supposed to protect lives and property tells you that this place is a lockdown, it means no one, anybody making entries must be granted a pass. So
Can
my
I
question,
can I ask you a question in that regards? If police sealed the place up, why were the legislator there the next day with the chairs all outside? Why did they feel the need to go there, including the president and the vice president?
Even tear gas and all, they were wasting.
you need to tell us. Who did the police tell? Then you need to. You need to tell us. They need to tell us who are the violators. Do they say no lawmaker? Why? First of all, the capital is the offices of the lawmakers.
Because the police is not institutionalized to make sure that they're protecting and serving our country. When they make
the police to go there?
When they make those kind of things, they cannot, because I can tell you, one police officer that I respected was Vanny Dempster. You know what he did?
Vanny Dempster being there and go.
No. But I'm just telling you history. But guess what?
We need to build more of Vanny Dempster now, but we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So
Let me just make this quick point. Vanny Dempster was the first police chief that arrested a legislator. He arrested him because he assaulted a police officer in uniform. And Richard Herrera and the people walked around the place and went to the police headquarters to ask him why he went and arrested a representative. He told him, he said, we're here to serve all citizens. The police officer, if anybody else had assaulted a police officer in uniform, they would have been arrested just like this man. They turned around and went back. It was the law. It was the law. So why the people that violated the police, that's what I'm trying to tell you now. All the people that violated when the police quarantined that place and tried to make it a crime scene, that went there the next day, including the legislator, they violated the police protocol.
The president, the vice president, first of all, they have no business. So the police are supposed to arrest them, right? They are supposed to be arrested.
Listen, it was that's what I said. If the police were institutional, other people would have received citation if I were police chief. They would have received citation.
Okay. So look,
not arrest for polluting the crime scene, they would have received citation. So that it can be a teaching moment and a teaching process.
So who invited Who invited the president there and did the go ahead? Because I talked about here.
No idea why they went there and why they were there. But it was wrong for them to be at
do you think the president do you think from your background and considering worldwide, do you think the president got a consent before going there, or he just decided because he want to play right across the road, so he just drove there, right?
Yes, I think that's where the imperialist system come in. The president go in places, if he say you want to go, nobody there got to, the fortitude to tell him, Mr. President, I don't think it's proper for you to go there. This is the law, this is that. They educate you on this. It's not, it's wrong to go there because this place, that's the Fanatic House. Let me tell you something. Fanatic House burned down. I was in Liberia. The next morning, the president walked into the building. I was blown away by that. The walls would have been compromised, it would have come down. You know the threat level.
Why are you just jumping here and there this evening and not addressing the real thing?
No, but I'm just telling you, those are security reasons why the people around him needs to let him know, Mr. President, we don't think it's a violence.
Bottom line here, Joseph Boyka and their people.
Going on.
Joseph Boyka wanted to show strength. And if I were the president, that police director loses his job because he endangered the president of the Republic of Liberia. Having said that,
everybody around the president endangered the president.
Yeah, the entire government.
Why you say the police
Everybody
director?
goes to the
It was
president.
not a police. It was not a
Police
police
director
director
never
that
get
brought the
the
president.
Minister of Justice. Whoever allows the president.
Everybody who went with the president have been held responsible.
Terry, what they did to our country
That's wrong.
For
the office,
the
president, they have the office. You don't go there.
Well, he is the president. When the minister of, when the police directors, even to say or ASNOS or whatever it is, more or less that's an unsafe zone. Can you imagine the capital? Suppose let's assume they were terrorists and they have some plenty explosives. Then you have the president there.
That one Mr. Bacon been trying to present. He said this could be a domestic terrorist.
Domestic terrorism.
But domestic terrorism. But Mr. Sigbe, do we have people responsible in Liberia to deal with terroristic act like these? Do we have security?
Are you happy that kind of question? You're missing it right here.
But your security, you've been in the force for many years now, so you have an idea on this thing.
Terry, think about it is that Jerry did Homeland Security. I did Homeland Security. How do you think the people reacted after 9/11? They created the Homeland Security Department that is inclusive of every department in this country. And that's how you become proactive so that something that happened won't happen again. And I can tell you, when you do something like that, that challenges the authority of the country and put the country at the level that it was, whereas our legislators now have been threatened and all of their lives of people were threatened. It's a terrorist act.
Wow.
It's domestic terrorism that occurred. Those are the things that should have been briefed to the president and let him know not to go there.
Exactly.
Not to go there.
And he and the vice president went together.
Yes.
So if something would have happened, then everybody, including the speaker.
The government, speaker one, speaker two, everything is off.
Wow. This is a revelation.
That's why I continue to say, from 2013, I went and did my assessment. Liberia is vulnerable.
Look,
it's a disaster waiting to happen. I'm telling you, that country,
Liberia is vulnerable.
These things that we are talking, they are serious things. People, it's a pattern. What happens when the president went to the AMU, how to call something school there to go speak, to go address the play? You saw somebody, there was a brief guy who almost literally put the knife in the president's throat. What has become that investigation? Zero. So how
they just fired 3 people, that was it.
Well, I don't know. What about the one with the military wives? They shut down the whole country. They shut down everything. And it was simultaneous. It was a planned activity that went on.
Look.
Because we're now just one place.
And these are precedents. These are precedents that will inform a future threat.
Exactly. So every time these things happen,
Liberia is a peaceful country. I'm telling you, Liberia is a peaceful country. That nonsense, what they did with our capital, stop there and then you finish, you see the other lawmaker pull phone in your ear. When you do that in an Arab country, people, they saw the inauguration. They went and put that hell of a bulletproof. Who wants to kill Joseph Whitehead? Put that hell of a bulletproof jacket until the old man almost died on the day of it. These are carelessness and people who are handling this president. It has become a pattern consistently, and they think it's funny. It's not funny. People should be held accountable. People should go to jail for their carelessness, for endangering the life of the president. And he said that there's a hat on his head, and you think it's okay that the people will do it. Why is that a minister of justice or the police chief? Why they allow him? When these things happen, when it starts from the local, you will see it's department group by group. They will do that investigation. They will brief people. It don't happen in our country. I mean, I know there are limited resources, but this is how you give chance for people to become proficient. But everything, minister, everything, this person, that person, but they have different departments.
It doesn't matter who's president. The office of the presidency needs to be protected at the highest level at all times. And until you build, like Terry said, the culture to understand that the seat of the presidency is the highest and most important.
I didn't even put it in the
There's
model.
no level of threat that needs to compromise that place. You cannot compromise anything that has to do with that. And I've been telling you since I went in 2013, most people are compromised. I owe something, I owe Terry something, so I can't stand in Terry's face and tell him. Because Terry know my bad thing that I can do.
So quickly here, gentlemen.
He will not come after me because he know my girlfriend, boyfriend, that all kind of craziness. People and who getting gifts. Seriously. Police officers, police or security people need to be paid competent salary. There should be year-long evaluation, performance evaluation. Wherever they're falling short, you provide training for them. It's required for them to do 40 or 50 hours. For us, we need to do over 75 hours, over 90 hours of training per year as a constancy so that they can be on top of the game. Crimes are evolving. Police work needs to evolve as crime evolves. And that's what you see people getting
even physical
initiatives and all these things.
Physical, medical,
country,
they don't even take it.
Huh?
Medical, physical, they don't even do it. They don't even do physical, they don't do medical.
Psych. The first thing before you become a police officer, you gotta do psych evaluation.
Yeah, people are in denial. All of those.
If there need be, you gotta do it. And then while you're on the job, your psyche, you gotta go for your psyche evaluation.
Let's return home here a little bit. Return home in the sense of our people will do different.
No, but let me close on this. We've said a lot of things, and I hope that people watching this show will understand some of the things we're talking. And there's a need for this conversation to go even deeper and deeper and deeper, because the security is not only threatening the government official, but it's threatening the everyday lives of people in that country. Every day you come out of your house, when you're sleeping at night, you're supposed to sleep comfortably. You're not supposed to be sleeping thinking somebody breaking in your house on top of the zinc or going in your fence. And that's why policing is very important. They're given an oath, they're trained and swore to protect and serve. So we need to start thinking in that route as we're moving forward to develop a viable, a good and structured country for the next generation. Not for us anymore, but for the next generation. Because some of us we know how to protect ourselves.
It's two-sided as well. You have African leaders who are very stubborn. They don't listen to their security details as well. And I can say that. They don't have any good advisors. They don't have people who will be there to be honest, to tell them the truth. They only want yes, sir. Whether a bar said, they say yes, sir. They don't want anybody who will raise their finger to say, oh, chief, I think this one here is not ideal. They don't want that. So if you also have a leader who doesn't listen to people that work around you, let's be real here among ourselves. If I can respect your view, your opinion, and you can respect mine, we will not worry. I mean, the next thing, why would I, if I tell Alfonso, you will not listen to me? If I talk to Terry, Terry will not listen. So whatever Terry wants to do, he can do it. But if our leaders, not just only here, were listening to people who provide services to them based on their expertise, they will not allow themselves to walk into danger unknowing it to themselves. Because first of all, I come hold on one second.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a matter of see how during this whole crazy how you call it, capital fiasco were looking. See how capital building were looking more than Jometa market. Everybody holding phone like this, pull bags. They don't even know who get back because they see somebody with phone and say they are broadcasting, they are journalists and do. You don't even know whether those people get explosive, anybody that they can do anything. And nobody, there was no precautionary measure, security measure were instituted. Immediately after that thing, we need to know who walking through these gates, coming to, considering what was happening. Market will be everybody.
Mr.
I mean,
So,
just imagine.
the president's security detail can demand that the president do not go certain places and he will not go. It's not a matter of the president saying, oh, I have to go. The details of the president determines where the president go or not. Am I lying, Mr. Nangwe? I mean, Mr. Sigbe? Sorry.
No. That's why when the president receives invitations to go anywhere, it takes a long time to plan. And the people who go in advance come back with an assessment to determine the risk involved in the president being at that place. And with debrief on the risk involved and whether they can provide the security necessary, the protocol necessary to make sure if the president is there for 10 minutes, that they will provide that safety for the president. It's very important. The president don't just get up and go places.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to. But we're not talking about the individual more. We're talking about the office.
Yes.
You don't take the
office. They don't regard that. That's the problem.
You don't take the office.
That's a normal protocol, but they allow it.
Security thing needs to be totally institutionalized and totally different from working for government. Because if you do for Joe Biden, any other president coming there, you're doing the same thing for them.
That's true. And you don't have that kind of security system.
You don't do it based on who's in the office. It's a constancy of service and protection. That's what you're providing. And that's your thing. If you assign to the president and the Minister of State and Presidential Affairs come and tell me, say, Moses, I left something. He's a minister. I left something in the car. If I'm assigned to the president, I tell you, I say, I ain't going nowhere. I can't leave my post. I'm put to this post for a reason. You know what? I'm not leaving the door for 1 minute until my shift is over. I don't care what authority you got. And that's the mindset that our people need to have when it comes to security. When it comes to security, that's the mindset. That's the training we need to give our people.
Yeah, but you know, what I'm saying here, and what Clarence is writing here, of course, that's the normal protocol that how it should be. But is there any interfering as well for those who are supposed to be providing that security now? Even if it's chief of security can't say chief, I say I'm going there. Because they want their people, that's how we behave. We don't listen to people who we work with. I'm sorry to say, but that's why it's happening. So what this guy is writing here, say, talking about the bridge here. I know I saw a lot of video. Now, if there was an advanced team, the reason, and you can speak to that, the reason you have an advanced squad is to take, everything might not be 100% perfect. We saw what happened here with Trump, but it's for them to see where the loopholes, to see where the president want to be, how that neighborhood, how that place. But but Liberia is a very blessed country because some of the things that we see happen and stuff like that. What happens to that capital the other day? It was very, very scary. That right after that sort of incident, the first time in the history of that country, and then you see the entire seat of government. They said, I don't know that meeting or what kind of thing they were having. Everybody sits right there
on the ground.
Yeah, sitting on the ground and talking. I saw the other fire service. I can't blame these people because they don't even have the logistics. Somebody say, "Oh, you had a bottle there, you had a bottle there." What do you have to determine to link somebody who put that bottle there? You get anybody DNA? You don't have. Nope. So anybody throw anything. It's not like you, myself here. If you commit any crime here and you are picked up, when they run it through the system, Joe Blow, go up, come down. They will find you. What happened to this guy who came from Atlanta, Georgia, to kill this? The CEO of this, how do you call something? How long it takes? Even though he was just on the run, but what? Because they have the resources. People are all out there. They were well equipped. How long it takes? The citizens themselves are patriots. They were looking out for because they know he's a dangerous character. But instead, we have a people. When people do wrong, man, I'm a so point. They hire you. They protect you.
Yeah.
You also make the government a handicap to prosecute people who are doing bad things.
Yeah.
So the thing here is too plenty. But we are the best people to talk this case. But you guys,
Oh,
you
no,
are
no, 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 no.
So you're gonna go there, my brother? You're gonna
you
go
guys,
there?
you are the guy, you guys are the political guy. Yeah, I don't like how
You're not allowed the Israeli to
I
discuss
don't like
our.
how they continue to endanger the life of my president. I might disagree with him, with his political policy, with his administrative policy, but I think there's a time this old man he needs to take some decisive decision.
Yeah.
Because if you can't do that, it's just not good, not just for him, but for the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't have people to be making these sort of deliberate mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were a lot of
because we
there were a
like
lot of there were a lot of vulnerabilities in Lofa as well. I saw a lot of vulnerabilities. But even though I'm not a security, but the president looked too open, too friendly in that place, and like shaking hands easily and dancing with people and all that kind of thing. I think, like what you said, Mr. So, Liberia is blessed. Liberians came from a long civil war. We're not ready for it. Liberians tired. They just want to, live normal life. The only thing I pray for that the president will see the need to make sure that give our people, because you see, the security also lies with the people. Once the people are satisfied with you, there's a possibility you can thrive with all your vulnerabilities. But that cannot happen in any country where the president is a threat. Like in any country, African nation, even Africa, where the presidency is a threat and the opposition is vigorous. The way President Bogart have been very vulnerable in many ways, in many days, since he took over would never have happened, But again, to my advice, well, to my
what
recommendation.
happens to the ultimatum? All of these things is all lack of leadership. If the president mandates his ultimatum are not carried out, are not executed, people take advantage. We hold this president given an ultimatum 10 days. These things, they might sound common, people talking, you think there's a hate because our people to take advantage of people being kind. You saw George.
But the ultimatum have been ahead.
What?
Has the ultimatum not been ahead too?
How many days today? Say the president say how many days today? How many we've seen the president say 10 days they should declare. You see, this is why you guys do. This is why.
But have you seen any news media saying that there are people that have not yet declared an asset, Mr. Su?
That's what I'm talking about because they are not happening. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So if it's not in the
who is falling through? Who is falling through?
That's you supposed to be following through. You're the forecast.
If I say who, I say falling through. If this management of LPR takes a decision, we want this, that to be done. Everything, the leader must take the lead. You will make decision, people will like it, people will not like it. But the idea that people get us to be in these positions, so we should wave a white flag, no.
So
we are there the same thing.
Let me just say this to you. Let me say this to you and to our audience. The issue of security, and I hear Terry saying, and you saying we're blessed. In as much as our country is blessed, there are certain things called ignorance. Ignorance can either be beneficial to you or it can be harmful to you. And if our people are not thought about their own security, the country becomes vulnerable and they overlook everything. I was in Liberia in April. There was major construction going on Ralphie Highway that's been going on for the past 10 years. Do you know at night when the lights goes off, we have vehicles on that road.
Yes.
The people constructing that road did not place in reflectors.
Let me take this person call before.
No reflectors on the road. That's a hazard to the public. Now they're building the road going to Virginia. I'm not sure if they even have reflectors at night. You're driving your car, you can go right into a ditch before you realize it that you're in a ditch. No reflectors on the road. Dark at night. And those are some of the threats that the people face. But because they're ignorant of those things, we don't tell the construction company to provide these safety. That's why I think our country, we need to recommend Public Safety Commission in that country to take over the safety and protect the lives of regular citizens.
Let me pick up this caller here before we wrap out here. Caller from Connecticut. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So let's hear you. Too much of tabata being going on here. Let's hear your side of the story.
Yeah, Mr. Sue, I've been listening to Brother Singwe and Terry little bit, and it is good to just say what need to be said. If according to what Mr. Singwe says, the president fumbled, giving a speech concerning corrupt practices in Liberia. Well, you cannot reconstruct that sentence. What went on in the air is just what went on in the air. If people are coming to go reconstruct all this, the English is very clear. So how can you say how can they say the people who try to interpret the president's statement this way? In this sentence is very clear. If you say the president he made a mistake, okay, we will step back a little bit and then start looking at things from the beginning. From the beginning, there are a lot of mistakes been happening, and the president is not mounting pressures on the people to say, hey, we had a motto that we told the Liberian people we have to work with. We need to redeem the country. The country is going down the drain. And you get people just from the inauguration, corruption start going on. And the president, through his 3-country or 4-country reunion, going to re-echo talking about, I encourage you, if you want to steal, you should bless your people. And people are saying, oh, the president never meant that. This is not fair to us. Because we all from Liberia, we need to go back home. We need for the country to be better off.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, man, the whole thing, I was so disappointed and still disappointed. In all of these things, most of the time when they happen, the Minister of Information is missing in action. The Minister of Information is missing in action. The reason you are Minister of Information, you are the fixer. You kind of reconstruct whatever comes out of government that doesn't sound right, good in the eyes, not just only Liberian, but foreign guests in the country. You're supposed to do it. See, they said they were still waiting for holiday, and I mean, like we had a conversation here. So you as the Minister of Information, when you see it like that, it becomes a talking point. Address the situation. Hey, this is what the president meant to say. This is what the president was trying to say. Obviously, people will still talk. The media will still run with it. But when you have a Minister of Information like a sleeping dog, with all the way door and whatever, Imaya Buya did not behave like that. Cut on carpet, those people, Moses Washington, those people, I don't care how bad it is, your job, I heard the Minister, Pierre, who should know better to say that he going to be transparent. You Minister of Information representing government, they say you're going to be transparent. You lose your job. What government does it wrong, you're supposed to speak for government. That's what you are there for. But when you say it, people, they don't get it. And that's why it went the way it went. So I think Helen had some issue. That was the same problem with the CDC. We all talking about helicopter. Do you think I want my president to ride playing from Ghana with 55 people with their all kinds of order running over the president. No, the president needs to be secure. We are in a volatile time. We have Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and get presidential jet. What's wrong with the president? But if CDC was unable to defend the president, to put the protection aspect of the president, they were not able to do it. So
the Minister of Information have had some issues they feel if you've been following. There's not how you call it, narcotech with that foreign minister. That was a serious thing. He blundered. And he blundered. And it caused for a stunned, well-informed guy to leave and start running his mouth on the media. If you notice, the Minister of Information have not been speaking rapidly like the way he normally do. And I want to believe, since that incident, I want to believe that was not a good thing. I want to believe the president having on pause for a reason. Maybe that's the reason he's not speaking. If you notice, Kula Fofana has already taken over the media than the Minister of Information. And I think that particular position is good for the government to let all the hulu baru cool down on his small before he comes. Because his presentation prior to that whole thing,
that's not a solution. That's a temporary solution. Then he needs to go. If he can't speak for all, if he can't speak
maybe who knows? Maybe that will be plan for the 2025 reshuffling. I think there will be a reshuffling of the government. For me, to be honest with you, Geraldine Pierre is the right man for that job. The only thing he needs to do,
Jerry, you now start making. That's why I say you're compromised. You now start making recommendation already.
The problem is.
The right man.
Thank you. For the type of Liberian, for the political, again, I will come back to the political culture. You may not like it, you may take it a different way. In Liberia, we have an aggressive political culture that Liberians take things very personal. They don't overlook anything. Just a small or discussion can lead Liberians to start burning places, having major protests over something that is not even that was not even adequately understood. Take for example, the 25 million map of exercise, the $15 billion that they say that got missing. There were pundits in the media, all right, during that time under President Weah. There were pundits in the media that twisted the narrative. And what happened? They brought thousands of Liberians on the street without understanding what was really happening, what was really transpiring.
On the Capitol.
Yeah, on the same Capitol ground we're talking about.
With copper and gasoline and mattress. Oh, seriously.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is that this is the political culture. So you need a robust, and Geraldine Pierre is a robust guy. You don't need a diplomatic or diplomat to can't stand up, oh yeah, I know plenty book, I got a PhD in information. No, you need a robust and aggressive information minister like Geraldine Pierre.
It's not a matter of aggressive. You just need an effective communicator. That's all. Your job is to
Liberian politics is not good for people like you. Let me straight up with you. Liberian politics is not good for you. You're too diplomatic. You are too diplomatic.
I don't think that you know. All right. You guys are causing a problem for us.
I have a little different perspective when it comes to this. My own perspective is this. Outside security, I will ask a hypothetical question. What's the function of the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism? That's the name.
Information dissemination from the government.
Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism.
Agree.
It's not the spokesperson for the president. For any department in government, their position is unique. You see, that's where the interpretation comes in. The president has a press secretary. Every department has a press wing. Why, when a thing happens to police station don't get their press. Police is not supposed to get press without with the absence of the Minister of Justice. But they get there and they do their press. The Ministry of Information is giving you information about the country, the cultural affairs, and tourism to bring in people, not to correct the mishap of the government. The office has been misused.
I agree, but that is the culture. That is the political culture of our politics.
That's my thing. We need to understand.
I agree with you. That is the right way it should be.
You see, the president has a secretary, a press secretary in the mansion.
So, yeah, what I'm going to tell you, Moses.
You see, so my thing is that's my own perspective, and people may agree with me, people may not agree with me. That's my own perspective. Every department of government have their own press department, information department.
Even the police have a spokesman.
And not just sharing information, but doing necessary research when it comes to database and everything else. So when they speak, they know the work of that department and what they're speaking on. The information don't know what's going on with police work. They don't know what's going on with immigration work.
So yeah, what
those departments.
Yeah, what I'm going to say to you guys.
That's a question I ask. So
Moses, you and Washington and the liberal progressive, you need to go in your chambers and put some sort of comprehensive some kind of plan and send it to the president. But look, all what we are saying, we all love our country, want to see the good things happen. We must have different political differences, but people are gambling with the life of the president. And
I think so.
And the thing is okay. They need to stop.
Presidency.
So whether he allows it, whether is with his consent, if that is the case, then he needs to have a second thought. They need to listen to people who provide services and security details to them as well. Sometimes when things happen, you wait until you are brave, fully brave. You should be the last to speak. When the president speaks, the nation should be quiet, shouldn't be reactionary.
Right.
Let all the Bapla do all their things, so when they spoil it, then you fix it.
Fix it.
That's how it's supposed to be. Gentlemen, thank you so much. So I think the couple that we're going to focus on some of the social issues that is happening is the government meeting the issues of our country, killing people, all of these kind of things. Responsibility not being done.
The influence of drug abuse in Liberia. I think there has to be a whole show on that.
We don't know where the drug system declare all the people that were taking vaccination. You see, they just jump and just grab things, do things. You know, I don't get it. We never see one person who has been declared that a person get drugs and got a drug treatment. They were just educated.
The president took his drug test. You have to give it to him.
It's not about a thing. I mean, I believe
Has that become a requirement?
If you want to take drug test, if you're serious, call
the president took his drug test.
And what next?
So does it require that every civil servant should take a drug test?
And if everybody should take it, all the people that are flying up and down, they take it, or even those who took it and they were whatever positive or whatever it is.
That's another conversation we need to have.
You just endanger people, so they say, oh, that man is so person. What's the next plan? What's the next strategy? I mean, come on. They kind of
2025 is coming, Mr. So we have good things in plan for you. So you won't have to take Tylenol. Don't worry.
Let's plan for a day in 2025, a new year. Yeah. And that
my knee hurting now.
Let's commit making a difference by volunteering our services as well. Right. When we take a trip to Liberia, if you got expertise in certain areas, we need to go. If there's a little group of people in the community where you live, sit down, talk to them, and educate them a little bit.
So we are saying people that should go, should develop a national plan.
They got a lot of nice They got a lot of people doing good things in Liberia. They got a lot of schools. They got many of these places. We need to go there and be positive and begin to spread the word of civic responsibility, because everyone has a civic responsibility in whatever country they live in. There's certain expectations of you. They don't teach civics in Liberian school anymore, but we need to go there and start educate from the grassroots. I think if we can do that continuously, for some of us who take vacation, I think there will be people who will listen to us, and there's little impact we can make. I think we can do that. But until then, Brother Sewell, always a nice and a pleasure. Even though you say you're the independent, but I think your biases come in sometimes when you talk about some of the other things. But we were talking about that when I see you next week.
So what?
So, Mr. So, hi, man.
Look at your eye and talk to you next week.
How your man Thomas Fala doing?
Oh, my God. Oh, you heard him talk?
Thomas Fala. How your man Thomas Fala doing?
All right. Terry, why are you starting that now?
We're going now.
Why are you going to throw that monkey wrench in there?
Terry is trying to gain redemption from the
man was speaking the kissy. Mr. So, your man ain't how much.
He said, I see you doing like this. That's like this.
Look, I wish I was talking. You think if I want to something, I would be. You think myself, I'm not like those people who are doing it for the Liberian people. No, these people they're doing it for themselves. I would never. African politics. If you want to get involved, you get involved. If you don't want to get involved, you don't get. You do it. You go do it in shadow. That's how you remain in shadow. Who wants to remain in the shadow in darkness? No way.
Thank you, Mrs.
We'll have this conversation.
So you can close the show. I will watch myself on the show later on.
Yeah, you need to. Because
it was ridiculous. So that way I can correct it next time.
Okay. All right, Mose. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, folks, that does it. I'm Alfonso Z, and so of the Liberian Public Radio and LPR-TV. We say it sometimes in the most hardest tone, but it's not meant to humiliate, but sometimes we just got to say it the language that we understand, because it's all about our country. We want to thank you so much for sharing your evening with us here. Let me see here what I wanted to say here. By the way, the home government of the late, oh my God, where did I put this stuff here? This flyer, Jesus. So be it, our guy's going to be covering. Okay. Yes, the home government of the late Narasaki LPR-TV Fox crew in Liberia will bring you a live coverage. That is the 4th of January 2025 in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. The Free Pentecostal Global International Church around Red Light, Painesville, Monrovia. Our crew will be there to bring you the homegoing celebrations of the late Mary Saki. Our prayers and thought goes out to the family. We have events right here in the USA, inside Liberia. You need coverage. Just let us know. We'll work with you in any way possible to give it a public attention, so the families far and near will also know exactly what's going on. Folks, thank you for your interactions, your comments, your tweets. If there's any suggestions you have that will help us to enhance the quality conversation broadcast of this network, you're most welcome. You are at liberty to disagree with us, and you can also make suggestions. If you want to form part of some of the talking points here as well, just express that interest, and we will definitely give you the opportunity. We accommodate all voices in as much we will have a disagreement, but we believe sitting and talking about those uncomfortable things people don't want to talk about, those are things that we talk about, because when we talk about ultimately we'll find a common ground for the good of the country. Until then, have a pleasant weekend. Stay safe. Bye-bye.